Well, I went down to the rich man's house and I took back what he stole from me. Took back my dignity, took back my humanity. Oh, I went down to the rich man's house and I took back what he stole from me. Took back my dignity, took back my humanity. Now he's under my feet, under my feet, under my feet, under my feet. Ain't gonna let the system walk all over me. Well, I went down to the landlord's house and I took back what he stole from me. Took back my dignity, took back my humanity. Oh, I went down to the landlord's house and I took back what he stole from me. Took back my dignity, took back my humanity. Now he's under my feet, under my feet, under my feet, under my feet. Ain't gonna let the system walk all over me. Well, I went down to the welfare office. I took back what they stole from me. Took back my dignity. Took back my humanity. Oh, I went down to the welfare office. I took back what they stole from me. Took back my dignity. Took back my humanity. Now they're under my feet, under my feet, under my feet, under my feet. Ain't gonna let the system walk all over me. Well, I went down to the governor's house and I took back what he stole from me. Took back my dignity, took back my humanity. Oh, I went down to the governor's house and I took back what he stole from me. Took back my dignity, took back my humanity. Now he's under my feet, under my feet, under my feet, under my feet. Ain't gonna let the system walk all over me.
Okay.
Well, I
Forgettable experience. Here it comes. Hello. I'm good, how are you?
Good morning. Welcome to our multi-platform worship service. I'm Brenda Ridley. I'm a worship associate here. I use the pronouns she and her. And it is my honor to be co-leading our service today, together with Shay Doddy, our intern minister, and Erica Caldwell, our guest speaker at UU Seminarian. A big thank you to Holly Ferris for providing music, and to Mike Foy, morning Mike, for running our AV tech today. This is a UU congregation, which means we are people of different faith traditions, different racial identities, and different ways of moving in the world. We meet in a universalist sanctuary, which means that in all of our beautiful diversity, we try to make love with a capital L come alive. We don't enforce beliefs, we welcome different songs of truth. We don't condemn people, we make room for transformation of the heart and mind. We don't wait on justice, we help create it. At UU Mount Airy, we are building a beloved community by embracing all souls and nurturing wholeness. And we are made more whole by your being with us this morning. For you and your presence here, we are truly grateful. Today's service is called From Pews to Picket Lines. If you've ever wondered where that sort of activist spirit in Unitarian Universalism comes from, I think you're going to hear a little bit about that today from Erica Caldwell, who has spent a lot of time studying the history of this congregation and its relationship to the beginnings of the American labor movement in particular. So I'm really excited to hear what she's uncovered, and she's very excited to be with this congregation whose ancestors were so involved in this important social movement in our country's history. May our gratitude and intentions be guiding lights for us this morning. Let us worship together. Let's take a deep breath.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning. Can you raise the mic up?
I can, yes. So in UU congregations, we light a chalice to celebrate our coming together in love, to mark the sacred space and the time of our community, and invite the Spirit into our lives. We invite you to light a candle wherever you are today and read along with us here in the sanctuary. We will read the chalice lighting words by Heather K. Daniels together as Brenda lights our chalice. It's titled For the Freedom of Faith by Heather K. Daniels. Our prophets died for the freedom of faith. We are here in their spirit. We are here to practice and sustain our living tradition, to light a chalice, claiming for justice the heat and power of fire. In our free faith, we are here, seeking freedom from despair, the freedom to be loved as ourselves, and freedom to grow beyond imagination. We are here, gathered in the name of all that we find holy. Let us give thanks for the gift of gathering here. Amen. Our opening hymn is 1023 in the Teal hymnal, Building Bridges. We invite you to rise and body your spirit to sing and move as you will with this song.
This is a round, as I know many of you probably know this, because we're a smaller but mighty group. Why don't we just make it a two-part round? So I would just say, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You guys be part 1. And the rest of y'all be part 2, so you have to bond together. And guess what? No wrong notes. You'll be fine. Make it up, people.
As a community dedicated to growing into and embodying the tenets and principles and beliefs of beloved community, we experience how when we share the authentic and vulnerable parts of ourselves with others, to see and to be seen and to be known, and when we witness to the vulnerabilities and tendernesses of others, to see, and to know, this exchange of sharing and witnessing helps deepen our interdependence with one another, calling us to be more loving, more reverent, more empathetic, and more compassionate, building a community of love and justice, a beloved community. Such a practice is holy as it deepens community connection and inspires transformative change in the world by beckoning us to disrupt the centering of privileged voices and stories and to honor the marginalized voices and stories that have always been present. This morning, we invite those who have gathered virtually and physically in the now and in the future to take a moment to connect with the joy, concern, or sorrow that rests within their heart. Explore the way that works for you. It might be breathing deeply, placing your hand upon your heart, or closing your eyes. Explore your unique way of connecting to self. We also encourage you to lean into these words by Dolores Huerta, labor leader, civil rights activist, and co-founder of the labor union now known as United Farm Workers. Her words have inspired the building of today's sacred and holy table, which includes fruits and vegetables representing times when people's voices and stories eclipsed privilege and comfort, and folks boycotted to create change. Dolores proclaims, all that a person has is his or her story, who they are, what they've gone through, what their families have gone through. This is their story. And when you are trying to deny them their story, you're taking away their power. Please share your stories, your voice with us. For our online sharing, we invite you who are on Zoom to share what you're feeling this week and to lift up the names of those about whom you are thinking in the chat. For those who are watching on live stream or after Sunday morning, you can reach Reverend McKinley via email at minister@uumountairy.org. And for those in our sanctuary, we ask that you come up one at a time by the side aisle to pick up a stone or stones from the basket, infuse or charge it with your joy or sorrow, and place it in the bowl of water, where its energy will ripple out to be held by all of us. If you'd like to share something important on your heart, please speak directly into the microphone and be mindful that we are broadcasting on the internet. All are welcome to participate in any of these ways. And for those who have gathered virtually, Brenda will be adding stones on your behalf. We will then listen to some contemplative music and hold all these joys and sorrows together. The sacred space of deep sharing is open.
Closer. Okay, my name's Sharon Fisher. Had an odd week or so. On Monday, I had several biopsies on both lungs. It's not cancer. That's the good news. I do have an infection, not to be worried about, being here in person. But there's also some other unidentified objects in my lungs that they haven't figured out what they are. So I have to go back for some more scans. I'm not sure about that. Thank you, Ann Arfa. Thank you, Desi. She's not here right now, but they were both very helpful in getting me to the hospital and getting me home. And so I'm grateful for the church in this community and my neighbors that are all helping. Also, oddly enough, there was a homeless woman who was living out of her car, and she had an accident right in front of my house, and so now her disabled car is in front of my house, and she's still there with her dog. And we're working on trying to come up with ideas on how to make that situation better somehow. And the last thing I wanted to just bring up is that my daughter's having surgery on her knee on August 15th. So.
My name's Bruce. We have a good friend who, her name is Sally, that we know from a connection up in New Hampshire. She had been stable with the treatment for cancer and just found out that the clinical trial she was on, is not able to continue with, and she's diagnosed with stage 4 lung cancer, although she never smoked, and so things are not looking good. So I hope you'll send positive energy her way.
Good morning, I'm Ann. Next Sunday I won't be here. I'll be returning from a retreat at Blue Cliff Monastery in the Thich Nhat Hanh tradition, and I take you all with me.
I'm Annabelle. I have a joy to share today. We're celebrating our daughter's birthday today. She's doing well. And we have 2 granddaughters who are going off to college for higher education. Uma's going to Bard College, and Tasha, our granddaughter in California, is going to California Institute of Polytechnic. So Cal Poly. So we're excited about that.
Good morning, you guys. It's great to be back. I haven't been here for a little while, but I'm back now. And I have a joy that the reason why is because I was taking care of my mom. I went on vacation, had a lovely vacation. Went to Portugal. It was great. I'll talk about it. We can after the service. But when I came back, my mother was admitted to the hospital. She had back surgery. She had laminectomy at 92 years old. She is now home. She's doing well. As I was saying to Shay, that's not the thing that's going to take her out of here. So, love it. Thank you. Oh, and thanks for all of your positive energy. For those of you that-
Good morning, I'm Jill. I have 2 very dear friends who both have COVID right now. We went to see a musical and I was sitting between them, and I do not have it. Amazing. Anyway, everyone was unmasked. It just this time when that's happening and there is another strain, and both of them are having a very bad time of it, and they both had it before, and they said that it's worse this time around. So this thing is still scary, and so please stay safe and be as well as you can.
And Brenda's also going to add stones for all the joys and sorrows that are not shared out loud, but held in the sacred quiet of our hearts. Friends, will you join me in this prayer however you define prayer? Spirit of life, divine known by many names and no names, in this sacred hour we lift up the moments that burden our hearts, so that the love of this community may be like a balm to our being, easing our worry if only for a moment. We lift up the joys that touch our souls that they may bring moments of joy to others, and so that we may add to the collective joy of this community. In this holy hour, we experience how life holds all that is, all that was, and all that has yet to be. How the love of this beloved community holds us, nurtures us, celebrates and sustains us now and beyond. Blessed be, and amen.
Our reading for today represents a few selections from a labor newspaper dating from about 1827 to 1830, and it was actually started by members of this very congregation and edited by Universalist congregant William Heighton. It's titled The Mechanics' Free Press. Let us take a moment to lean into these words together. From the article on slavery by Delmont. Avarice and inhumanity are twin brothers of the same parentage. Their natures are so perfectly in unison, and their existence is so blended that the latter is entirely subservient to the interests of the former. Inhumanity is subservient to avarice. Therefore, we marvel not at the conflagrations, the oceans of blood, and the pitiless barbarity which have marked the course of those who have sought to enslave the world. Let Columbia blush in the birthday of our independence cease to be remembered among men, for the demon of slavery stalks unabashed among us. Chains and fetters cling o'er the soil, and the smack of the thong misheard in the air of a free country. From the article titled Freedom and Slavery, Unattributed. There are three kinds of labor: by force, by fraud, and voluntary. The first and second are used in the South in obtaining the labor of the blacks. The black must work or be flogged and is kept ignorant of his rights. This is labor by force and by fraud. That was immediately followed by an article titled Slave Traders, also unattributed. If there is a class of men that ought to be regarded with universal and unmingled detestation, it is the miserable beings that are often barking in this city and district in the character of slave traders. From William Heighton's 1827 Universalist Church Address, which was reprinted in the newspaper. We must no longer cherish the vulgar idea that one occupation is more respectable than another. This idea originated in pride and ignorance. Unless we are united in our efforts, we shall never succeed in rising above our present condition. Without a union of the different trades, we will remain the slaves of accumulators. When we can unite in claiming our equal rights, oppression will begin to totter on its throne, and extortion will tremble on its rotten seat. From Heighton's July 4th, 1829 Walnut Street Address, also reprinted in the Mechanics' Free Press. So long as the people are blind to principles, will they be deceived by men. So long as they are occupied with trifles, by triflers will they be led. So long as they neglect their own interests, will their press, their teachers, and their rulers do the same. Let us count all the evils we have there to remedy, all the obstacles to overcome, all the sorrows to alleviate, all the wrongs to redress. To this work of charity and of duty let us apply. Let us give relief to the widow, protection to the orphan, the guardianship of the state to every child in the land. Let us give relief to the widow, let us form the morals and advance the happiness of this nation by watching over its education. But until these duties be accomplished, until this righteous work be achieved, until every son and daughter in this galaxy of commonwealths shall be equally provided with the means of instruction, shall be protected equally from the sufferings of poverty and the vice of riches, be trained as equals to understand and exercise their rights. All your laws and your provisions, your preaching and your punishment, your churches, your prisons, your partial colleges and inefficient schools, your asylums and your hospitals, your restricted commerce and protected manufacture, your canals and your railroads, your taxes and your bounties, your inventions and your improvements, multiplied without object and without end, will work no real benefit to man, will do nothing towards the alleviation of one of the weighty evils which now press on the population, will and can tend to no other consequences than farther to vitiate the feelings, confound the understandings, and render yet more disproportionate the condition of mankind. While wealth is considered distinct from enjoyment, and enjoyment is calculated by the luxury of the few instead of the ease of the many, while art and science are applied not to relieve the labor of industry, but to depreciate labor's value, while human beings count but as an appendage to the machinery they keep in motion. And the tender strength and dawning intellect of infancy are crippled by forced labor, improper diet, neglect, ill usage. Think not that canals and railroads are to advance the nation, nor that steamboats and spinning jennies are to save the world. And finally, from an article titled Profit and attributed to SMA. SMA was discussing how some wealthy individuals lived on profit, meaning they hired laborers to chop down wood, and then they charged outrageous prices per cord of wood during the winter. Speaking of that, then they thought it a great charity to go round and dole a small portion of it back for what is called humanity's sake. Thus, these modern Shylocks would first grind us down to the earth by profit, and would then grind us up to heaven by charity. Such is the state of things. And will the working people put up with this kind of charity? That the most trifling article cannot be purchased without supporting a vampire host who live by shaving it. They have the effrontery to stand up in open day and say their services are absolutely necessary to the well-being of the community. Have we got capital, say they, and is it worth nothing? Let them take their capital and eat, drink, and wear it, and we will take our labor and do the same. And then see who will starve and go naked first. Who will create everything and enjoy nothing? And who will create nothing and enjoy everything? From this place of prophetic reflection, let us sing hymn number 1017, Building a New Way. Oh, thank you, Holly.
We'll sing a lot later.
Friends, it is an honor to be with you this morning. The truth is, as you've heard a little bit about, I have spent the last 2 years diving deep into this one aspect of your congregation's history. I've been hunting through the archives for bits and pieces to the puzzle of how members of this very congregation largely crafted the American labor movement as we know it today. I was raised on food stamps and love. From a young age, I understood the sleepless anxiety of factory layoffs. I watched my father navigate round after round of layoffs by rotating through bouts of his own military reserve and active duty service. And for me, as a graduating honor roll teenager, the only way I knew to pay for college was my own stint of military service. When I found Unitarian Universalism nearly 20 years ago in the midst of that military service, I fell in love with this faith the very first time I heard the words, "Whoever you are, whatever you believe, you are welcome here. Whoever you are, whoever you love, you are welcome here. Whoever you are, you are welcome here." Those words, they drew me in and converted me into a shiny, born-again, brand-new Unitarian Universalist. I'm sure some of you know the feeling. I grew up being teased by my school-age peers for being poor. I was told I should be ashamed of my family's poverty. And I grew up hearing from my Christian peers that my atheist father was going to hell no matter what, and I should just accept that fact and turn away from him, no matter how loving of a father he was and is. So those words, "Whoever you are welcome here," they meant everything to me, and they still do. As a working class woman, coffee hour has been sometimes disorienting. Some conversations left me feeling a bit out of place. Little comments about occupation, assumptions about lifestyle and finances, sometimes subtle looks of hesitance after learning a person doesn't have a college-level education. More than once, I've heard comments that associate poverty with lower intelligence, and heard that used as a reason why poor and working class folks don't always fill a congregation's pews. These conversations, they left me feeling unmoored in a sea whose horizons and depths I truly love. Who was I to be part of this faith? I don't come from engineers, from scientists, from doctors, philosophers, educators, as so many of my UU friends do. I come from factory workers, from coal miners like my pap, from dock workers. My grandmothers, they did not participate in the second wave of feminism because they were busy working as low-paid seamstresses and in grocery stores. And I'm not ashamed of that, or any of the ways that my family and forebears survived. Yet I still found myself asking, where do I fit into this religion which claims so much elite history? And I'll be honest with you guys, I was still considering this question even as I entered UU Seminary. Let me just say that's a very expensive question to be asking in seminary. I'm just saying, don't follow my lead. Luckily, though, I found the answer while doing research for a class on the 19th century prophetic history of Unitarian Universalism. And that answer was to be found in the history of Philadelphia's Universalist congregations. According to the unparalleled labor historian Philip Fauner, the Second Universalist Church of Philadelphia over on Callowhill Street hosted what could be considered the first ever labor speech, and it was given by Universalist congregant William Hyton. Seriously, you can claim the first ever labor speech as part of your congregation's history. I think that's pretty cool. When I found that out, I had to wonder why this congregation and why Universalism in general weren't more famous among labor folks today. Even Philip Fauner, the aforementioned peerless labor historian, he lamented the way that William Hyton and his labor movement were largely forgotten. And William Hyton wasn't alone among the Universalists to lead this movement. Both of the Universalist pastors at the time, Stephen R. Smith and Theophilus Fisk, they participated actively in the movement, supporting them. The words I found reading the Mechanics' Free Press, the voice of this early labor movement, they shocked me. The 19th century labor movement is often portrayed as racist, sexist, xenophobic, and just downright problematic. And that was sometimes true of what the labor movement later became in that century. But what was birthed in that little Universalist church in Philly was something a bit different. In our reading earlier this morning, you heard snippets of how many of these men and women thought about the state of the world around them. They saw themselves in solidarity with Blacks who had been enslaved by wealthy Southern oppressors. In other articles from the Mechanics' Free Press, which we just didn't have time for, a wildly popular serial author who reads a bit more like a modern day working class superhero, he went by the moniker the Nighthawk. Yeah. I'm still waiting for a comic book to come out about him, but yeah, I might be waiting a while. The Nighthawk was something of a disguised vigilante, and he protected poorer, vulnerable Philadelphians from hypocritical clergymen, from wealthy, leering gentlemen, and from those who emulated the dastardly Southern enslavers. In the pages of the Mechanics' Free Press, there were editorials decrying the removal of the Cherokee and insisting that Native nations have a right to self-determination and to the land that they have occupied from time immemorial. There were editorials decrying corporal punishment for children as brutal and inhuman, demanding the abolition of the militia system, and criticizing criminal laws that favor the wealthy. There were editorials about paying women equal wages with men in 1827. There were efforts to financially support the women tailors when they went on strike, and there were passionate defenses of the very radical proto-feminist Fanny Wright. And if you don't know of Fanny Wright in her infamous trousers, Fanny Wright's trousers, look it up, you'll be happy to learn that the controversial opinions she shared not only advocated for free public education, for women's suffrage and the abolition of slavery, but also for birth control, sexual freedom, legalized interracial marriages, and very liberal divorce laws. Yes, Universalists defended her in this congregation. Now, I don't know about you, but those are not the kinds of things that I'd heard 19th century working class whites were supportive of. But they were, and they did. And the movement that started in Philadelphia quickly spread across the eastern seaboard. Working men's parties cropped up in dozens of cities as did new unions, new labor newspapers. And these new unions, they supported each other across trades when one would go on strike. They began to fight for shorter working hours. They demanded an end to child labor, and they demanded new free public education. They instituted new debate societies and libraries for the working classes to better themselves. And while wealthier utopian socialists were retreating from society, these radical Philadelphians even experimented with ways to abolish money. Pretty radical. They also began to put forward their own candidates for political office in order to change the city and Pennsylvania's laws to improve the lives of all working people. I'm convinced that Universalist theology was intricately linked with this active take on solidarity, which characterized this 1820s Philadelphia labor movement. Ann Lee Bressler names some of the differences that set Universalism apart from its more highly regarded Unitarian cousin. For Bressler, the famous Universalist Reverend Hosea Ballou, his vision was essentially communitarian. And in that view of humanity lie the seeds of empathetic solidarity. She states, Ballou challenged an Arminian individualism that implicitly reinforced a sense of social hierarchy. For the Universalist, rather than individualism and social hierarchy, the ultimate ideal in our day-to-day world was to unite in human brotherhood. Unlike some Unitarians of the time, they were less likely to seek refuge from modern society, and instead sought to change it by uniting and undertaking real, concrete actions to improve their everyday communal lives. Where Arminian individualism often led to sympathy and disinterested benevolence, Universalists were led by a passionate conviction of the interrelatedness with all of humanity. Bressler quotes an example of Hosea Ballou's conviction in her book. In pure love to others, meaning love not arising from self, there is a union of the heart with others, a kind of enlargement of the mind. And it implies a disposition to feel, to desire, and to act as though others were one with ourselves. To feel, to desire, and to act as though others were one with ourselves. For me, that's universalism. That's it, right there. It's not about diminishing differences, but living in heartfelt, empathetic solidarity with each other. And Hosea Ballou, he was well known to the readers of the Mechanics' Free Press. He frequently came to Philadelphia to give speeches, and his speeches, his sermons, reprints of his sermons were constantly advertised in the pages of the Mechanics' Free Press. When I read the yellowed, aging pages of the Mechanics' Free Press, I can't help but see Hosea Ballou's vision of pure love in action. The workers unflinchingly named the trials and oppressions that they faced, and rather than claim that their cause was the only one, they saw themselves in solidarity with the cause of abolition of slavery and with the abolition of child labor. They saw themselves in solidarity in the cause of women laborers and with Native Americans. And in their vision, the so-called promise of Columbia, of the American Revolution, was a vision of true equality in the base material reality of every living person in the United States, whatever their race, whatever their gender, whatever their age. Today, the Poor People's Campaign, or PPC, continues this struggle. As automation grows to levels only dreamed of by William Heighton and his contemporaries, the need for labor only continues to diminish in value, something that they foresaw. Today, there are over 140 million poor and dispossessed in America. The majority of those are children. If you're unfamiliar, the original PPC was created by Martin Luther King Jr., and he created it shortly before his assassination. And while quotes from King's "I Have a Dream" speech often get the platinum treatment in this country, there's actually a quote that he started using far more often before the end of his life. What good does it do a man to eat at an integrated lunch counter if he can't afford to buy a hamburger? King started to see the ways that racism, poverty, and the oppression of others, both at home and abroad, work together in society to entrench the gulf between the small few at the top and the vast majority of us left down below. In my work with the Poor People's Campaign, I have been blessed to meet some amazing, fierce organizers and activists, both here in Pennsylvania and from snowy Vermont to sunny California. And friends, I am so happy to say that Unitarian Universalists, we show up in droves to support the PPC, not as charity to the poor, but in heartfelt, empathetic solidarity. If you'd like to get involved in the Poor People's Campaign, I'm going to do a little plug here. I'd recommend following the PA Poor People's Campaign on Facebook. And there's actually going to be a monthly educational tomorrow night at 7 p.m. on Zoom. bit.ly/Medicaid cuts equal death. If you can join, I highly recommend. bit.ly Medicaid cuts equal death, all spelled out. The way I see it, we are living in an era that is hungry for the lessons of our Universalist forebears, where people struggle to afford even a basic apartment on mediocre pay, where people are dying from lack of adequate health care because multiple part-time jobs don't offer insurance, where 2 in 5 Pennsylvanians are going to lose their health care due to paperwork issues, as you can learn in tomorrow's PPC educational, where 140 million Americans live in poverty, not by official government estimates, but by the real poverty that must contend with juggling late payments to keep the lights on and the water on, and still somehow afford monthly prescriptions and groceries. I'd like to paraphrase the prophetic William Hyten once more. Poverty is a moral evil. It is a moral choice in our society. The choice to allow some to live in opulence and luxury while others suffer hungry and homeless. The truly faithful cannot turn their faces from these evils and pretend as if they don't exist. There's hope here. Hope exists when we refuse to turn our faces away from our shared suffering. There's hope when we unite in solidarity. There's hope when we lift up the faithful cry against oppression. I see hope here with you. Because our people recognize the strength of solidarity, the power of numbers, and the hope of a faith-filled call to justice. Amen. Amen. Blessed be.
Thank you, Erica. Let's take a breath. That was a lot to unpack, really. Thank you. Now is the time when we collect our offering of financial resources for the good of this community. We know there are many ways to give back to this congregation, and we encourage you to find a way that works for you. For giving of financial support, your money or checks put in the plate for today will be used to fund everyday operation of this congregation. And any pocket change or other money that you designate for change online or by putting it in the white envelopes in the pews will be sent to this month's selected Change for Change organization, the Trans Fund. As many of you know, our trans and gender expansive beloveds are under attack and being criminalized in many U.S. states right now. This is so serious that they fit the criteria to be designated as internally displaced people by the United Nations. The UUA and UUSC are partnering directly with frontline trans-led organizing to create networks of safety and direct support for beloveds who need to relocate, access health care across state lines, or stay as safe as possible where they are. Please know, though, that all donations are moving directly into the hands of trans-led organizers and being used to support trans and non-binary people in accessing the resources and support they need to survive and thrive. Our offering will now be gratefully accepted.
Circle round for freedom, circle round for peace, for all of us in prison, circle for release, circle for the planet, circle for each soul, for the children of our children, keep the circle whole. Circle round for freedom, circle round for peace, for all of us in prison, circle for release, circle for the planet, circle for each soul, for the children of our children, keep the circle whole. Circle round for freedom, circle round for peace, for all of us in prison, circle for release, circle for the planet, circle for each soul, for the children of our children, keep the circle whole. Sing with us. Circle round for freedom. Think of the words. Circle round for peace, for all of us in prison, circle for release, circle for the planet, circle for each soul, for the children of our children, keep the circle whole.
As we get ready to extinguish our chalice and end our time together this morning, please remember to stick around for announcements in the slides and downstairs during coffee hour. Folks on Zoom are invited to check in with each other and one of the ministers afterwards. For For more information on what's going on in the life of this congregation, you can check the weekly newsletter that comes out on Thursdays, or you can peruse the insert in your order of service. Finally, check out UU Mount Airy's website and the social media pages for important updates. The words to extinguish our chalice are by Maureen Killoran, Daring Vision. We extinguish this chalice flame, daring to carry forward the vision of this free faith, that freedom, reason, and justice will one day prevail in this nation and across the earth. Our closing hymn is Ain't Gonna Let Nobody Turn Me Around, and Holly will lead us as we sing the hymn.
If somebody could grab that microphone for me, that would be super. Thanks, Linda. So folks at home can hear. So many of you might already know this wonderful civil rights song, Ain't Gonna Let Nobody Turn Me Around. And Eastside Barnwell of Sweet Honey in the Rock taught this to me and about 100 other folks, mostly Unitarians, a number of years ago. And she had us imagine we were in a town hall meeting, and it was the 60s. And she had a microphone, which we're gonna do, put it up here, and we're gonna give you guys the opportunity to be leaders. Don't panic. I'm gonna get it started. I'll fill it in if everybody's being shy. But using today's current events. So they would sing back then, ain't gonna let nobody turn me around. That's the first verse. But then, ain't gonna let segregation turn me around. Today we might sing, ain't gonna let children trafficking turn me around. You know what I mean? Like, so thinking of current events. So again, I want to always make it comfortable for anybody to get up here, and we're all together in love, right? And understanding and just joining together in song. So I want you to, if you have a current event in your mind, and you just sort of have to fill it in, the words are going to be up here. And so I'm going to get it started. That would be great. Oh, that's perfect. Thank you, Shay. Yay. So what I'm going to ask you to do, like we do for joys and sorrows, you can line up, because I want it to keep flowing. So after the first person goes after me, let's say, just keep it flowing. Come up to the mic, even though we're in the middle of that verse. Does that make sense? Yep. So we just keep it going, you know. It can be very powerful. So I'm going to get started. So if you know it, sing with me. And definitely clap on 2 and 4, as always. No, 1 and 3s, we'll still love you. Okay. So, ain't gonna let nobody turn me around, turn me around, turn me. Think about it. Ain't gonna let nobody turn me around. Keep on walking, keep on talking. We're gonna build a brand new world. We're gonna. So who's next? So everybody's like, I get it, I get it, I get it.
You said you were going to model it. Give an example.
Oh, okay. Ain't gonna let human trafficking turn me around, turn me around, turn me around. Ain't gonna let human trafficking turn me around. Now I'll keep on walking, keep on talking. Gonna build a brand new world.
Transphobia. Ain't gonna let transphobia
turn me around, turn me around, turn me around. Ain't gonna let transphobia turn me around. Keep coming, keep on walking, keep on talking. Gonna build a brand new world.
White supremacy ain't
gonna let white supremacy turn me around, turn me around, turn me around. Ain't gonna let white supremacy turn me around. Keep on walking, keep on talking. Gonna build a brand new world.
Ain't gonna let fascism turn me around, turn me around, turn me around. Ain't gonna let fascism
turn me around. I'm gonna keep on a walking, I keep on a talking, gonna build a brand new world.
Book banning ain't gonna let
Book banning, turn me around, turn me around, turn me around. Ain't gonna let book banning turn me around. Gonna keep on a walking, keep on a talking, gonna build a brand new world.
Ain't gonna let prescribed curriculum turn me around, turn me around, turn me around. Ain't gonna let prescribed curriculum turn me around. I'm gonna keep on walking, keep on talking, gonna build a brand new world.
Ain't gonna let food deserts turn me around, turn me around, turn me around. Ain't gonna let food deserts turn me around. I keep on walking, keep on talking, gonna build a brand new world. Ain't gonna let big pharma turn me around, turn me around. I could keep singing this all day. Turn me around. There's a lot to sing about. Turn me around, keep on a walking, keep on a talking, gonna build a brand new world. Woo!
In closing, I would like to share these words from the Reverend Dr. William J. Barber, who is co-chair of the National Poor People's Campaign. There have always been two streams in America, one that wanted to go backwards and one that wanted to go forward. Which stream are you in? Because I still believe in higher ground. Higher ground where we build schools and not walls. Higher ground where we are more concerned about bread and butter than bombs and destruction. Higher ground where we're more concerned about a guided culture than a guided missile. Higher ground where we are more concerned about saving life and educating children than exploding communities. Higher ground where we are more concerned about treaties of peace than triggering a war. Higher ground. There is higher ground where instead of finding more ways to kill and destroy and oppress one another, Black and white and red and brown and Jewish and Asian and Muslim can form a beloved community. We must take this nation from the low ground in the graveyards of warmongering and profiteering to higher ground.
Thank you all for being with us today. I want to invite everyone to conversation and fellowship after the service downstairs in Fellowship Hall, where we'll be serving lemonade, water, cookies, and the fruits from our sacred table. And we invite you to stay just a few minutes maybe before going downstairs, as you feel called, to sing along with the postlude. And once it gets started, you'll want to stay.
There's a Justice Council meeting at 12:30 in Hale Lounge afterwards.
I am not afraid.
Thank you so much, everyone. It has been a joy to be here with you all.
Thank you.
We're unmuted.
Hi.
Hi there, Sandy. Hi, Fern.
Hi. I wish that they had sung "Ain't Gonna Let Global Scorching."
Right.
Yeah,
Good
I
one.
saw that. Well, this is definitely a service I'm going to go watch.
Me too. And also, hi, Harold. There, they calmed it down, but I think we lost Fern. I know Fern had a big day yesterday. I hope everything.
Fern has to go back. Yeah.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah.
That's okay. We can contact her. Ah, really good service. I also, this is a specific, but I love the way Shay used the word eclipse as a verb. I like that.
Yeah. Yep. I'm gonna start getting my notes in order for the Justice Council meeting. So
Oh, that's okay. Yeah, I'm sorry I won't be on that, but next year when I'm next year.
You're welcome to sit in.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. And I'm gonna get to be with Katie and her partner for on the 20th on a Sunday. It's an LGBT, it's Bradbury Sullivan is hosting an LGBT thing. And it's at the Steelworks in Bethlehem, which is a wonderful, because part of it will be inside, which will be wonderful. Because I've been to these before when everything's outside, and if it's really hot,
It's miserable. Yeah, especially up in Bethlehem. There's no shade. Right.
Yeah, there's no shade. So so this will be a lot of fun, and I'll be able to, because that's going to be, I want that to be part of my focus. But yeah, Erica was amazing.
Oh yeah.
That was, and now I was thinking of you, just all the history and everything, but the term, oh, I'm going to forget it. I thought I didn't write down everything. Avarice and inhumanity.
Yeah.
Partners.
Yes.
Hello, Michael.
I'm not going to be able to go on the 17th because I'm committed to a full day at either for just myself or for Roxy. Nova Victims Assistance is going to sponsor. They're putting together a day of resources for community members about bullying and discrimination. And of course, when I did my Nova training, I mentioned to Ashley, or I asked if we had anything for kids in the schools about gender issues. And she kind of looked at me. I said, I know, I'm in Penridge. She said, I'm so sorry. She said, but maybe we could put something together with the Rainbow Room under our bullying umbrella. And I think
absolutely
that's what this is. I don't think Roxy knows that. I'll tell them later. But I am committed to the full day with one or two dogs. And I'm going to get to network with all the other people I do work for. So it'll be a really nice day.
Yeah, that sounds good.
It will be good. I mean, it's just such a long road to the election.
Yep, it is a very long road.
And, it ties into the work that we're doing with Penn Law, and it ties into the work that we're doing with the coalition we're trying to build. It's just never ending.